Welcome to The Moms I Know with Sheila Walsh-Denton and Maria Anderson-Farner. Two moms on a mission to reclaim childhood and take you from surviving to thriving on your parenting journey. The Moms I Know is your go-to source for motivation, inspiration, and resources, and real conversation about motherhood and parenting with intention. Thank you for being a part of our community. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Before we begin today's episode, we would like to let you know that this episode was recorded before the events of COVID-19 took place. We've decided to release this episode to you as it was originally recorded because, although we had no idea what was just around the corner for families across the globe, we feel the content is relevant and can be especially helpful during this time. We hope you and your loved ones are well. Please enjoy this episode.
If only you could sense how important you are to the lives of those you meet, how important you can be to people you may never even dream of. There is something of yourself that you leave at every meeting with another person. Fred Rogers.
I love that. I've never heard that quote, but it's such a testament to, thinking about what do you stand for? What are you hoping to impart on others? What is your vibration?
Mm-hmm. Love that. And just this concept of what is it that we're looking for in the year 2020? Here we are. And, I think that we're all looking ahead at what we want to create, how we want to structure our lives, how we want to impact our children, our families, everyone we meet. And so this quote really brings that into, who do we want to be as an individual? And then how do we create that for our family? You were talking earlier about, even the homes that we make for our families. And I know that's going to be another episode, but just every choice that we make, every conscious thought creates this environment that our children are growing up in, that we're existing in, that we're impacting so many people.
Yeah. So, this is Sheila and Maria, and we are here talking on The Moms I Know Season 3. This is our first episode of Season 3, so we are super excited to really look at 2020 and ask you, our listeners, what are you looking for this year? And Maria and I will share a little bit about what we've been thinking about for these first couple months of 2020 and what we've been going through, and also looking a little bit at, this is the year of the rat and what the significance of the year of the rat. I'm actually a rat, so I will be 48 this year, and really embracing that and realizing that this year, what it means, because the rat year is the start of the Chinese horoscope, like it's the beginning. And so also a metal rat. And so what that means that this year is kind of a big year if you believe in Chinese astrology, which I kind of take a little bit of everything. I'm a Gemini, I'm a little bit of this, a little bit of that, I believe in that. And this year though, I went to a talk earlier, and I told you, Maria, and what I got from it was that this year is a year of distillation. It is a year of simplifying and, kind of taking stock of what you have and what is it you want. And when you think about that, it's like, well, it's 2020. Like, what do you see? What do you think about that?
I think it's fascinating. And also this idea that it's the beginning. And I think that we're all kind of struggling with that right now. And I think most people have heard that it is supposed to be a very big year, an auspicious year. And yet there's so many challenges right now. And I think that everybody that I've talked to, and I think you and I have both had them too, it's, the first couple of months of the year have been really difficult. They've been really challenging. People are struggling with all sorts of things. And it's like, wait a minute, wasn't it supposed to get better? And so there's this really taking stock of whether we've had family crises or financial issues or relationship issues or physical challenges. And, that's what, we've all been dealing with. And it's kind of this, okay, taking another deep breath and starting again and really clarifying, like you said, distillation, clarification of what we want to create. And when we think about creating, whether it's physical or emotional or whatever, we also have to, we always look back at ourselves. The only person that we can change is ourselves. So we have to do that inner work, and we have to speak our truth. We've been talking also a lot about, this idea of relationship and how do we communicate clearly, how do we connect, seeing a lot of that sort of, I don't want to say dysfunction, but the challenges that arise with that. So I think that, here we are, like you said, episode 1 of season 3, and we've talked so much over the years about so many aspects of family culture, but I think right now everybody is taking a deep breath and really taking stock of, okay, now what? Who do I want to be? How do I want to be? What do I want my thought process to be? I've been thinking a lot about mindfulness for myself. I feel as if we've got, so many other things in order, but then this is still changing. And why am I dealing with, worry when that hasn't always been my focus? And so, this idea of really pulling in and being more mindful. So how do I want to set this all up? And so I think that's where we're at with this, is like, what are the steps that we want to take to create our next year, decade, the rest of our life, for our children, for ourselves, for our significant others. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about, what you've learned about kind of what this year might be bringing.
Yeah, definitely. Because I went to a talk from my friend who is a Chinese medicine practitioner, but she's also very into this part of the Chinese astrology and everything. And so one thing she said, because it is the beginning, she's like, this is the year where you plant your seeds, and this is when you're going to create your legacy. And so you really got to take, look at what is it you want. And you write that down. And it's the year where maybe you join a cause. And what a great year, 2020, what's going on in our political process in our country, what's going on in your political, if you're out of the United States, what's going on in your country. And maybe you don't like politics, but so maybe it's a cause closer to your home or the environment, your school. Maybe it's even, joining a group, joining a book club, joining something that is of interest to you, where you are getting strength there, you're fortifying, and that's part of your legacy. Another one is to lean into discussion. Maria and I, we love doing this podcast, and, the question comes up, are we going to continue to do this? Are we going to keep on doing this? But both Maria and I just love the discussion. We're not making a ton of money yet, but we, we would love to, because we want to keep talking and sharing these ideas that we have that have come across of raising our children and with intentional parenting. A quote that my friend said at the presentation is, and I keep kind of coming back to the distillation piece, is how can you receive if your stomach is full? So think about that for a moment. Like if you are constantly full, if you look around your home and you have stuff coming out everywhere, and you look at, all aspects of your life, like, take stock of your life, how full is it? Because you want to open that up. And I would say, like, maybe, Marie Kondo, if you have yet to Marie Kondo this year, it's the time to kind of to clear some things out. The spring cleaning is coming.
I'm laughing about that as I'm looking at my desk right now.
Oh, I know. I just looked around my house too, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And
Time too.
That's part of this is because, I've been helping my daughter and her family a lot lately. And then, of course, you and I were talking, but I fractured my wrist last week. And, what does that symbolize? It's like, doing too much, cluttered mind, not focusing on the present. And so how do we really look at what do we need to clear out, physically and emotionally? What do we need to let go of? What do we want to bring in? And, we've done episodes about this, simplifying and really looking at these kinds of things. But when we take the time to come up against these challenges, there are always little reminders to go, okay, slow down, focus, think about what really matters in our lives. And I think that with everything that we're facing in the world, politically, physically, health-wise, all of these types of things, we really are looking at what are our deepest values? What is it that we care the most about? And, everybody that I talk to, of course, family comes up over and over and over again. The people that we love, the people that we want to spend time with, that's what matters in life. And at the end of our lives, we're not going to care so much about the things that we have or the things that we've done. It's going to be, did we spend enough time with the people that we love? Were we true to ourselves? Were we being in a life that we created, that we had joy and fulfillment in? And so you're talking about causes too. And so, that there's also that piece of when we serve others, we find true fulfillment. And yet we also have to be true to ourselves and fulfill ourselves before we have that to go out and take care of others or other causes or issues. And so many of the families that I'm working with, they don't really have the time to be reaching out and doing so many of those other things, but it can be woven into your family life. And so over our last episodes, we hope that those of you who are, whether you're homeschooling or whether you've been thinking about homeschooling or just, looking at family life, we've done a series on homeschooling and this idea of family school and how do we bring the choices about how we educate our families and ourselves into everything that we do. So there's that aspect of things too that I think we really want to be thinking about in these coming months.
Yeah, and I want to share, you said it, we really got to look at ourselves. If we have to make sure that our bucket is full before we water at the other plants in our family and our community and stuff. And so I just want to share that I actually had the opportunity to do that. And I did something that I have not done, and I took off for 10 days. And, I've gone on I've done a few things, but never this long and never by myself. And it was me saying yes to an opportunity to go to Costa Rica. And I bought a ticket Wednesday night, and then I flew out first, Thursday morning. 12 hours later, I was on an airplane heading to Costa Rica. And really, I felt like I was in my 20s again. And that just gave me so much power, so much energy, and really grounded me in what I want. And so, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 16 years. And so it was something that, I did not have balance there. I have a really hard time finding myself. I did lose myself in motherhood. And I slowly, take what I can, but I've never had that length of a time to just be. And I feel like, I actually wanted lead, and Marie and I have talked about leading mama retreats, just for that purpose, so that you can be empowered, find your strength, and then come back to your family with a heightened vibration that you can share, because you are your best self. That's what I kept feeling and telling myself, like, this is my best life. Like, this is me showing up. This is me taking stock of everything that I've done in motherhood, because I do have a graduating senior, and making sure that he is launching. We've talked many times about the roots and the wings, and this year has really been that he is launching, and it's a push-pull. I remember in October, having a conversation with him saying, this year's going to be tough for us. We want to support you as much as you can, but you're going to have decisions on your own that might not fit with what we're doing, type thing. And it's going to be tough. And we've had a few of those, but we keep coming back to what's important, and our family's important, and showing up with love. And I don't know, that the trip to Costa Rica really simplified things for me.
I'm so glad that you were able to take that time for yourself. And that was incredibly spontaneous. And I loved seeing that process unfold. And yet you knew your children are old enough, your husband was home, everybody was going to be fine. And you were able to take that time to really clarify what it is you want for yourself, for your relationship, for your family, all of that. And, I'm not able to do quite that right now, but I've been very much thinking about this idea of taking, even if it's a day or two. And for those of you with very young children, it may just be, trying to take a day by yourself to go off and have that clarity of mind to really be thinking about these things. One of the things that I have been doing is I've been taking my 6-year-old grandson skiing, and that was before I broke the wrist, but, just having this joy in something that I've always loved to do, being out there in nature and having this aha moment of yes, just experiencing the freedom, experiencing the movement, and being able to say, I need to bring more movement. I need to bring more joy into my life. I need to be doing the things that really fill me up. And even if it's only for a couple of hours on a, Wednesday morning or something like that. And so how important it is. And you were able to take this long period of time and really think about what it is that you want. And it's been fun to see you come back from that and the clarity you have around your steps forward at this point. And I wanted to share one quick story, and then I think we should talk about, kind of what are our steps forward and help people look at creating a map for themselves. But when my children were kind of mid-kid range, I started doing my spatial dynamics training, which was a movement education training course. And I was gone for 4 days at a time, twice a year. And then in the summer, it was a little bit longer. And my husband loved that time with the kids. The kids loved being with their dad and with mom gone. And I think it really allowed their relationship to deepen. But one of the things that my daughter said years later was that when I would come back from those trips and that educational, kind of supportive environment, she said that I had such a different outlook on life. And so she wanted to do the training years later, because she said when my mom would come back from that, I could see the change in her and I liked what I saw. And so it was so much fun to hear that years later. So for those of you who are thinking about these types of things now, know that your kids are paying attention to these things, and they can see if your cup is overflowing or if you're completely depleted, or if you have it for them. So I think, take that time, and now we can, talk a little bit about some of the things that are coming that we've been getting the clarity on.
Yeah, no, I love that you said that, because I really, when I was there and I was traveling by myself, and meeting other women and it's funny, I met a lot of women traveling as well. And I was just like, I want my daughters to see this. I want my son to see this. I want my daughters to say, this is how mama takes care of herself if they choose to be moms, and you do have to role model that, and that your daughter noticed that and said, yeah, because when she came back, that's what I saw. And I don't think my youngest, the 11-year-old, she was, I think it hurt her. I mean, she missed me the most. The two teenagers, they were okay. But she missed me. And, but yet again, that special time with her dad was, you don't have it. It's a different energy when the dad's running the house. So moving on, like what can you do? And I think that the thing is like, this is your year to make a plan. What is it that you want in your life? What do you want to bring in? What fills you up? What brings you joy? And putting those things out there, and then taking steps to see if that happens. Finding something that you believe in, looking at your community college course catalog and seeing, are there any classes there you want to take? Reading the local newspaper, figuring out what is it that you can do. What can you involve your children in? Maybe you have a hard time reaching out to adults, or maybe you're new to an area. Well, that's the best thing about your children. You bring them, you sign them up, and then you meet like-minded parents so that you can see, is this important to you?
And we're big fans of writing things down. And so one of the things that we've learned over the years is that when we write things down, they're exponentially more likely to happen. And so, you can get your 2020 journal out and really write down, what it is that you want for yourself, for your children, for your family culture. Be thinking about these things. If there are things that bring you joy, refocus on that joy list. We've talked about that in earlier episodes. Look at, if you're homeschooling, how is the structure of the day going to go? Making sure you're putting time in for yourself and for each child, and having that idea of family culture. What is it that you really want for your family? Is it something, is music really important for your family? Is looking at cultivating a culture of respect and really character building, quality literature, all these kinds of things that you want to focus on. So taking the time to write these things down, so important.
And just like know that it's always evolving. It's like it's always evolving, and it's not perfection. It's a practice, and just really kind of keep leaning in and knowing that you are in charge. You're steering the ship, and you're going down the river and everything, and well, the ship wouldn't be in the river, but I mean, you're on the water. So enjoy it. Enjoy the ride this year, because it's supposed to be it's a prosperous year. And so where are you putting your energy, your time, and how are you going to get back, that prosperity?
And also, it's important to have guides on this journey. And that's where Sheila and I come in. So we're really happy to be here to help support you on your journey. And as Sheila said, it's changing. I mean, when we look at our own lives, there were always the twists and the turns. And, I always love the river metaphor. And so there are going to be those things that happen. And so when you have a guide, when you have somebody who helps you along the way, they can help ask the clarifying questions. What about this? Have you thought about this? And that's what we're here for. And it's really interesting to see each of us, in taking this time for ourselves at this point and coming up against the struggles and trying to clarify and look at distillation, we both have clarified things for ourselves. And it's been really exciting to see that. So we just want to share a real quick little bit about kind of the directions that our lives are taking. And so, for those of you who've been listening, I've moved to Montana, kind of in this intergenerational living. And so even though, our kids are kind of coming and going right now, they're all doing some traveling, but we're home base. And so I'm really broadening this concept of this intergenerational living and meeting so many grandparents in this area who have either they moved here and their children followed, or their children moved here and they followed, and they're creating something that is, sort of from the past, this idea of really intergenerational living where it does take a village, and the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, there's community here. And I'm seeing that unfold. And I'm also seeing grandparents needing a lot of support. And so, it's been fun to reach out to lots of other people here and see how do we create something that is rooted in the past, but is also a focus for the future. And so, my business, The Future of Family, on Facebook, and the work that I'm doing is this idea of how can we make these conscious intergenerational choices to really support each other and look at what's going to be best for the whole family. So that's been really fun to clarify that and be excited about what's to come with all of those types of things. And then, of course, continuing on with the Moms I Know, because like Sheila said, we have so much fun working together and creating these topics for those of you who are listening to deepen your consciousness around the choices that you make.
I love it, Maria. And what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to focus more on the homeschooling piece. I want to be seen. I'm a homeschool coach, and I want to be a homeschool and family coach and really help your family define their family culture, to, identify your values so that you can have the homeschool of your choice. And, Maria and I, we've in our talks, if you listen to the homeschool series, family schooling, we want people to understand that family schooling is for everybody. It's that you are learning along with your children. Like I said earlier, the community college courses, that you are modeling that. And that is constantly, whether you're picking up an instrument at, when you're 35 years old and or 50 years old, picking up an instrument and learning how to play with your children or doing something like that. Like that's all part of it. So I really am happy to kind of put that out there, that I'm identifying myself as the homeschool coach. I'm a homeschool teacher for a charter school, but I'm trying to really help people that want help, and I want to help them virtually. And and so that's why we created the podcast series for homeschoolers, as well as a homeschooling guide, and really want to strengthen family, because it's really what is important. And it's important to have a strong family culture, because it is, I'm seeing it now. I see it with Maria and her family. Her children are in their early 30s, whereas, and in my own teens, and she established a strong family culture with them at a younger, when they were younger. And so they're still very much, this intergenerational living, she still has such a heart, such a peace in her children's lives and her grandchildren's lives. And I think, how I want to live is I want that too. I want to be a part of my children's lives. I want to be a part of my grandchildren's lives. And so I do, you have to cultivate it. And it's interesting, just a little side note is that I've had a parent say to me, oh, well, you have a really close relationship with your children. They tell you everything, and I don't have that. And it's not that that it's any different. It's just when you put the time in, you get that back, and so that's the importance of it. Like it's the shared memories, it's the shared experiences that equal the shared memories. And so I think, Maria, I mean, you're totally proof of that. And I feel like as my teenagers, so am I, because, my kids were, I've been influenced with Maria since my child was 5 years old. And so, it's like he's now almost 18, and it works. So I'm an advocate of that. And that's being the piece of being a guardian of childhood and really making sure that, that you recognize that family is important.
And, I think that when we hear somebody say that, that they don't have that connection with their children, I think that can be cultivated. I know
that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
And you said that, but I think that it really is important for people to understand that it's never too late. We need to be listening. My husband and I worked really hard when the kids were little to cultivate that environment where they felt comfortable to talk with us about anything, that we were there to listen to them, that we weren't distracted all the time, that we were focusing. And so I think that that's where we're coming from, this place that it is so important. And we're just delighted to be on this journey with all of you and to help you to look at these things that are so important. And this concept of, whether you homeschool or whether your children are in public or private school, regardless of the ages they're at, whether you're a grandparent listening to this or a grand aunt or uncle or whoever, this idea of living and learning together, family schooling, it's all about the journey and creating something that is fulfilling and joyful and messy and tearful. And, it's all of it, but it's being present. And so we're just delighted that you're here with us for season 3. And we hope that you continue to listen. We've got all sorts of exciting episodes lined up. We've got some great interviews coming up. We're going to be talking with lots of different people about lots of different things all around this idea of enriching family life. So we're just excited to continue this together.
Yep. So until next time,
take care.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today for the Moms I Know. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get the show notes and resources mentioned in today's episode, visit themomsiknow.com. For information on Maria's programs, visit thefutureoffamily.com. And for information on Sheila's programs, visit purplebeatfamily.com. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes and follow us on Instagram at The Moms I Know Podcast. Until next time, have a joyful family journey.